I need your help, please subscribe my channel. I remember the silence as if it were stitched into the walls of that house. Not the kind that soothes, but the kind that crushes, that makes your own footsteps sound like an unwelcome trespass. For 30 days I lived like that. My wife never once met my eyes. My daughter, once my shadow, didn't say a word. Plates of breakfast cooled before I touched them. Dinners vanished before I could sit. Whenever I entered a room, whispers were smothered, laughter cut short. I wasn't living there anymore. I was haunting it. I wasn't a husband nor a father. I was an echo, a ghost. I waited. I asked. I begged once, just once. No one answered. My pride refused me a second plea. On the 31st day, I packed a small bag, walked to the door and left. Not a single step followed me. That's how it ended. Or at least, that's how I thought it had ended. Years can turn raw wounds into sharp weapons. I rebuilt my life from the ground up. A quiet apartment. A career that asked nothing from me but hard work. Silence again, but this time it was mine. Chosen. Yet the scar burned beneath the skin. Not because they had let me go, but because they had erased me. A man can live with being abandoned. But forgotten? That stays. I tried to bury it. I failed. Then 5 years later, an email. Just one sentence. From the woman who had once called herself my wife. She's getting married. She wants you there. For a long time, I just stared at the screen, wondering if I was misreading it. My daughter, my little girl who once ran barefoot into my arms, now grown, preparing to wear white. She wanted me there, or so her mother claimed. I accepted. Not because I longed to see them, but because questions still clung to me like shadows. And because revenge is a dish best savored under chandeliers and crystal glasses. The wedding glittered with wealth that had not come from my hands. Gold, glass, polished suits, laughter like champagne bubbles. I stepped inside, unnoticed at first. But when my wife's eyes finally landed on me, her mask cracked. Her hand trembled. The glass she held nearly fell. She hadn't expected me, or perhaps she hadn't expected the man I had become. I studied her as the orchestra played. Guilt had carved deep lines into her face, deeper than age ever could. She smiled too quickly, laughed too loudly, but her eyes gave her away, darting around the room like a hunted animal searching for escape. And then my daughter appeared. She was radiant, yes, but older, colder, her features sharper, unfamiliar. She didn't hug me. She didn't reach for me. A polite nod was all I received. Thank you for coming. Words you say to a distant guest. And in that moment I knew. It hadn't been her invitation. She hadn't asked me to come. Her mother had. Suddenly, everything fell into place. The month of silence. The whispers. The rejection. It hadn't been born from my daughter's heart. It had been planted. Fed to her spoon by spoon, until the taste of me soured on her tongue. My wife had orchestrated it. All of it. I didn't need her reasons. Betrayal doesn't require an explanation, only memory. And I had remembered. Oh, I had remembered. While they erased me, I prepared. I rewrote every paper they thought they still had claim to, wills, trusts, inheritances, accounts. My daughter would no longer find herself tied to me by money. But that wasn't all. Mercy would have been to cut them off. Instead, I traced my wife's hidden sins. The debts, the gambling, the loans disguised as business ventures, the second mortgage she thought I'd never uncover. And I bought them. Every contract, every debt, every IOU. For 5 years, she had been living in a house she believed was hers. But it was mine. Every creditor she feared reported not to strangers, but to me. She didn't know it, until tonight. The reception began. Toasts lifted, laughter swelling. And then the room dimmed for the father's speech. My moment. I walked to the microphone, steady as stone, every eye fixed on me. I began simply. I was asked to speak as the father of the bride. But truth compels me to speak as the man you all erased. The room shifted like a wave. My wife stiffened, my daughter's brow furrowed. I told them about the silence. About the 31 days of exile in my own home. About leaving. About the years that followed. And then, I revealed the rest. The debts. The mortgages. The accounts. Piece by piece, I laid their lives bare before the glittering crowd. Gasps broke the air. Murmurs rippled. The bride stood frozen, a porcelain figure in white. My wife trembled, shaking so violently she could barely keep her hands steady. Finally, I turned to my daughter. "I don't blame you," I said. And I meant it. She had been a child, twisted into a weapon she didn't choose to be. But understand this. Every decision carries a cost. And the bill always comes due. I stepped back. Silence stretched across the hall, thick and unbreakable. And while they stood frozen in shame, the lawyers I had waiting nearby moved in. Papers were served. Accounts frozen. Debts collected. The house stripped from her name. By the end of the night, my wife would have nothing left, not even her pride. My daughter, she would face a choice: to live in the shadow of her mother, or to step into the light alone. I walked out into the night air, calm, unshaken. They had silenced me for a month. I had silenced them for 5 years. The difference was, when I finally chose to speak, they could never shut me out again.